Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all well and I hope you've had a great start to the year. I figured new year, new resolution, let's clean stuff up. And one of the things I need to clean up personally, and I'm sure a lot of us do, is our Lightroom and catalogs. But what I'm going to do is look through my workflow and how I go through my catalogs and just how I clean it all up and how I import and keyword and just sort of categorize everything in hopes that it'll help you as well. So I'm going to start with the importing from the memory card. I've got one of my surf shoots here that I did. It'll just help us import it into my catalog. I'll show you that part of it, then we'll go into the keywording, the color system that I use, and I hope that there's something in this that can help you as well. There's many ways to skin the cat, I suppose, and with cataloging there are too, but this is through trial and error that I've got to this point, and I find it to be extremely helpful. And so yeah, let's give it a try and see how it goes. Okay, so I've opened up my Lightroom catalog. This is my wildlife catalog, and so like I said, I've got my surf shoot here, and it's just simply just to show you the process of how I import, and just to show you how quickly it goes. So I'm going to insert my card into my card reader, and what you should find is that it will automatically come up into this dialog, this sort of import dialog, if you like. So what I do is I don't sort any photographs out at this point. I do everything in bulk up front. It takes 10 to 15 minutes max, and that's what I love most about this, because like imagine now we're back from game drive, we have a quick lunch and we're about to head back out again, or perhaps you got back from a shoot and you have to go to work, or whatever the case might be. To now go through all of this can be really tedious. So I'm going to leave all of these photographs here, even the ones, my test shots that I took at home on top, as you can see there. So what I first do is, of course, I find the photographs that I need to import. That's quite self-explanatory. It should pop up. If it doesn't, by the way, if you don't get that automatic dialog box, I'm going to move myself over. You just click on this import over here. You click on import and it will open up that exact same dialog box where you can now choose to import your photographs. I will select all photographs like I said, and I'm going to click on copy because I don't want to delete them off the SD card just yet, just in case something goes wrong. I'd keep the SD card. We'll erase all the images later off there, but for now we're going to keep it as a backup just in case we mess something up here. It's going to go into for now we're going to put it into my pictures folder. Okay, this would normally go onto my hard drive down here, but just for this example we're just going to put it onto my computer, just because I'm going to probably have to delete this later anyway. So yes, it's going to go into our hard drive. I'm going to build smart previews. I always click on don't import suspected duplicates. Now the reason I click on that is because let's say on this SD card I went for the morning game drive, I did a whole lot of photographs, I downloaded at lunchtime, but now I come back at night and I want to download the rest of the photographs. If this is not selected, there's a good chance it might import all of your photographs from the whole day. All right, this is just going to help you only import the new stuff and the relevant stuff. Okay, so I find that quite important. You can make a second copy, by the way, if you want to plug 2 hard drives in and make a duplicate, for a backup. I just think that that takes a lot of work and a lot of space personally, so I don't normally do that. And of course you can add it to a collection should you choose. Anyway, here is the most important part, okay, the renaming of the files on the right here. So this is where I start the process. My workflow, my categorizing, my keywording, all of that starts now, okay. So what I do is I click on yes, I want to rename these files, okay. I'm going to rename all of these raw files. Can you see how they've got OF7A84 blah blah .cr2, if you're a Nikon shooter .nef or whatever it might be. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to click on here. It's going to open up a whole bunch of options for you. What I normally choose is custom name with the original file number. This is proven for me to be the most sure way of finding your files later on, especially if you change computers, if you want to move from one hard drive to another. The back-end moving of these files becomes important now. Then under custom text, you can type in whatever you want, of course. What I normally do is the location and the month and the year, just to keep it fairly simple, but also quite well categorized. So for example, this is a surf shoot. Okay, my caps lock is on, apologies. So this is a surf shoot at Salty's main beach. Okay, and it was, let's say, January 22. So can you see now, surf Salty's main January 22 dash 8416. Can you see how this file has been named? So it's going to import all of these files, no longer as this here, as you can see, the O, F, etc. It's going to now have this. And I'm going to show you how that plays a good part now, an important part now. So under keywords, at this point, what I do is I don't really do specific keywording. I'll do general. So let's do salt, rock, main, beach. And you separate that by a comma. Now, what I'm going to do is just leave it at that, because I like it to be quite a general one at this point. I don't want it to be very specific, because obviously, like, these might be different surfers, or it might be different animals, or it might be different locations, or whatever it might be. So I keep it quite general, but it just helps save the workload a little bit later. Lightroom will show you where it's going to go. Okay, so that's where it's going to go. So I'm going to simply click on the import button here. Okay, so as you can see, the images are importing now, and if you look in the thinking box here, or the progress box, you can see that there's two operations happening there. So basically what's happening is it's importing, keywording, and creating smart previews. So that's what it's doing at the moment, and just sort of thinking its way through everything. And if you look, you can see it opens up in the library module automatically, and I've got my first image selected, and can you see, okay, it built smart previews for those images. Can you see how these files are now named Surf Salties Main January 2022-8416? Okay, so that's really cool. If I were to now go into my computer pictures here, go to 2022, and we go into the shoot, here's all the images that have been downloaded to my hard drive. Look how the names have changed. Remember how they were originally that OF7? Look how it's now called Surf Salties Main, January 22nd, 8422. Okay, so that's what it looks like on the back end now, which is just, you know, already that's a massive saving in terms of your workflow and your file storage. Just that alone. I mean, look how quickly that took us. It's you know, if you now go move that hard drive somewhere else, or if you use it on a different computer or whatever it is, those files, you know, you'll be able to know exactly where they're from, when you took them, etc., which is brilliant. Okay. So now in my library module, here, if you look in where, in my sort of the navigation side of it, the images got imported, as we saw, to my hard drive on my computer, because that's where I chose them to go, into this 2022 and the 9th of January. Okay, so this is how Lightroom will sort your photographs, which is fantastic now, again, because now you've got it day by day. But if I scroll down to my hard drive, can you see how many days I've got? Now, this is probably a problem that we all have, that there's just so many, and we can't remember where we were, etc. So once I get to this point, everything's downloaded. The very first thing that I do is I rename this folder. Okay, so here was the folder. So you simply right-click, rename it. I keep the date exactly as it is. I just simply hit space, and I'll go salt, rock, main. Forgive the caps and non-caps. Okay, and hit save. So now you can see it's renamed the folder to Salt Rock Main with the date. So now I know that on the 9th of January, I was photographing surf photography at Salt Rock Main Beach, okay, close to where I live. If I scroll down to my hard drive, you can see how I've labeled all of the dates and where I was on those days. And if I was to now go into my Finder to where the images were, pictures, 2022, look how it's named the folder. So it's actually renamed that folder on the hard drive as well. At this point, I should probably make it very, very, very clear to do all of these changes in Lightroom. Lightroom doesn't like surprises. So if you go on the back end and try and either rename the files or rename the folders, Lightroom will get very upset, okay? It doesn't like that. It wants to know what's going on, okay? It wants to stay in the know. So do these changes through Lightroom. Otherwise, you'll get a lot of, if I just close here, you'll get a lot of exclamation marks popping up on your images here saying that we can't find the files, or there's something missing, and then you're going to have to re-look for those files. Okay, so try and make all your changes happen on the back end, on Lightroom, so it changes the back end. Great, so now what I'll do is let me stick with this, this surf folder, okay, seeing that we've got it up. So now I need to, the next thing I do is color. As you can see over here, I've got all of these colors set up here. So what my colors mean is red means completely untouched. Therefore, I'm going to right click here. I'm going to add a color to this folder. It's red. Okay, as you can see down here, I've added colors to all of my folders. So now I know if I go away now, okay, for an afternoon drive, or I leave my computer for a month for whatever reason, and I come back, I'll know where I was on that day, what I shot, and I know that this is untouched, this folder. Okay, nothing has happened to it. So I need to work on that folder. So what I then do next is I check that if I look here, all of the files are named correctly. Surf Salties, yes, okay, great. That's wonderful. Then we can look at keywording. If you want to, I'll just quickly look at if there's anything that I find that stands out. Let's say, for example, this surfer's name is Joel, okay? So I'm going to select all his photographs here. And in the keywording section, I'm going to put in Joel. Okay, enter. So this was Joel at Salt Rock Main Beach. You've got the dates now. You've got a keyword in now. Done. I'm not going to keyword all of these images because I just don't feel like I need to. It'll just take too much time. I mean, I think keywording is for highlights, for quick searches, something that sticks out, okay? So I'm going through these images. Let's say that those stuck out for me. Done. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I've gone through the images now. All the files are named nicely, and I've keyworded what I'd like to keyword. Great. So now I come back to the top. Now the part comes of we need to kind of sort the images. What stays, what goes. Okay, so now this can be a bit tedious. This is the point where you can go and grab a coffee, put on a good playlist, maybe even shut the computer and come back to this tomorrow. I mean, up to this point, you are pretty well organized already as it is. So, for example, if you were to go to keywords and you wanted to find Joel, there he is, he pops up. Okay, if I wanted to look for Salt Rock, okay, then obviously all these images will pop up because we've keyworded it. So does that make sense? Okay, so even at this point, before you've even deleted any photographs, before you've gone and sorted them, I mean, this has taken us, I'm not sure, what was that, 10, 15 minutes. We've done enough that you're pretty well organized, to be fair. But let's now take this a bit further. Okay, so I want to now, there's 119 files in here. That's a lot of files to carry for a lot of what I can already see as rubbish. Hey, I mean, you can already see that there's a whole bunch of nonsense. What we're going to do is we're going to select the first photograph, and there's a couple of hotkeys or short keys that we can use to make this process much, much quicker. Okay, so whilst you're in the library module, this is important to be in the library module, you can use the X button. So if I were to hit the X button on my keyboard, can you see it says at the bottom here, set is rejected, and you get this flag popping up with an X in it, okay? So let me do it to the next picture as well. I'll hit X, so watch in this area over here, you can see set is rejected, and the little flag pops up, and when I move over to the next image, it goes grayed out. So those images have been rejected. We've flagged them as rejected. They haven't been deleted yet. We've just simply put a flag in them to say, I'm going to come back to these later. This is a nice way to go through the images that you don't want. Okay, you X all the images you don't want. If you have X'd one, you don't want, you want to undo the reject, then you hit U. Okay, and if you look at the bottom of the screen here, over here, it'll say remove flag. Okay, and if you look at it's been ungrayed and the flag no longer is there, whereas that one is. Okay, so if I want to unflag that, I'll hit U again and it's remove flag. So that's a nice way to do it. To begin, you can also use numbers 1 through 5 to star your photographs. So let's say, for example, that for whatever reason that these top 3 photographs are my absolute favorites. I can rate them, the first one 5 stars, then 3 stars, then 1 star. And you can use your own categorizing systems. Sometimes I'll use some 5 stars for images that I think are really outstanding, so I can come back to them later. I'll use 1 star for images that I think should be deleted, but maybe there's something in there that can be fixed and saved. It's up to you. You can come up with your own system. I don't use starring all that much, but the odd photograph I'll use it for, and I'll show you in this example when I might use it. So that's great, okay. But here's a quicker way to do it as well, because it's hard to see those photographs now. With thumbnails, it's difficult to see, and you could increase the size of the thumbnail here, but it doesn't really help that much. So what we want to do is we want to try and look at it from full screen. So I might disappear because I'm going to hit the full screen button now, and I'm going to do that by hitting F. Okay, so on F, you can have full screen. You can then use your directional arrows on your keyboard to go through these photographs to see which ones you want to keep and which ones you don't, all the while hitting X, arrow, U, arrow, or the numbers and star ratings. Okay, so I'm going to come out of full screen. There's a trick that I'd like to show you here. I'm going to push on Mac, it's the Shift Lock or Caps Lock button. Put that button on so that the green light on your keyboard comes up, because then you'll see this, okay? Whilst that button is on or activated, if I push X, see how it automatically hops over to the next picture. If I rate, that's 5. It'll hop over to the next picture. If I unflag that one, if I X that one, if I X this one, if I star that one. So you see how it skips and skips and skips to the next picture. Okay, so it automatically hops over. So let me just undo all of that because we want to do it properly, obviously. So I'm going to unflag that and that. So while your shift is, or caps lock is on, this thing hops over quite quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop over into full screen again. So I might disappear, but let me push F to go into full screen whilst my caps lock is on and go through the process. So we hit F. Okay. So now I can look at these images, nice full screen. This, for example, let's say I decide that it's a 1, just because it's kind of pretty. But I don't want to keep all of them, so I'm going to X this one. And I'm going to X this one, and X that one. This one looks like it might be good. So you can either use the side arrows to navigate through. Look how blurry he is there, so I'm going to X him there. Okay, this one's starting to sharpen up, so I'm going to use a 1 rating here, 1 rating. That looks good, 3. Okay, this is blurry. You might be able to save it, so I'm going to push 1. This one's pretty good, so I'll use 3 stars there. Okay, now the waves I don't like, so I'm going to push X, 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 X. Okay, so when I come out of full screen now, if I go back, scroll back up and look at my images, can you see how some have been X'd, some have been rated? This is a star rating here, and then you can see some have got flags on them. So you go through the whole folder like that. Like I say, you've got a glass of red wine, you've got a coffee, you can now, and you've got your music playing, so you can just slowly go through this and decide what you want to keep and what you want to get rid of. We now get to the end of the folder. Okay, we've come to the bottom and we've decided on everything that we want to reject. So I'm just going to X those ones there like that, okay, just to give us a few more X's. So we get to the end and we've now decided that this is looking good now. What you do is in the library module, under filter, you click on attribute and you can see this little flag here. So before I get there, you can choose your 3 stars, you can choose your 5 stars, 1 stars. Okay, deselect, make sure all of these are deselected, and then click on this little flag here. On this little flag, it's very difficult to actually see, but above there, there's a little X. Okay, it's the one on the far right. If you click that, all of your X'd images or rejected images will come up. So that's just what I suggest is you scroll through and just make sure they've all got X's on top of them and that you haven't accidentally also chosen a 1-star rating or anything like that. Once you have these all filtered, your X, what you can do is I hit Command A, or if you select all of them, right click and then remove photographs. What happens then is you get this dialog, okay, that asks you whether you want to remove them from Lightroom or from the disk. For me personally, I delete them from the disk so that they're gone forever and I don't have to ever worry about them again. Okay, if you click on remove from Lightroom, what it might do is just simply remove it out the catalog. Those images still exist on your computer hard drive. So if you ever want to re-import those photographs into a different catalog or a different computer or whatever the case might be, all of these images that you've spent hours removing will be back on your catalog again. Alright, so this is up to you. Some people don't like to delete from disk. They feel a bit nervous about it. That's fine. But just be warned that, if you re-import this hard drive later on, these images will reappear again. So I just simply delete from disk and then they're all gone. So if I deselect this filter and I go back into my library, can you see how we no longer have those test images from my house, but rather those images that I selected with all the different stars, etc. Okay, so once I've done that, if I've gone through now and I've deleted everything, if I can see that all my keywording is done, you see how that one doesn't have a Joel keyword, but this one does. Let's choose another one, for example. Here's Joel again, so I'm going to select him to there, and I want to keyword him, so I'm going to comma Joel. Oops, sorry, my caps lock is still on, apologies. So we're going to put Joel. Okay. Then if I go to text search and we click on text, so here you can choose how you want to search. You click on keywords. If I now type in Joel again, I'll have all of his images popping up. Now imagine this was a cheetah or a lion or a leopard, okay? And your friend comes to you and says, hey, Matt, I would like, have you got any cool leopard pictures from Madikwe? So what I can do, is, or in this case, let's keep it to this example. Let's say, have you got any great pictures of Joel from Salt Rock Main Beach? So I can then come and look, okay, there's Salt Rock Main Beach, click on keywords, search for Joel, here's all of Joel's pictures, and I can focus on that. Quick and easy, as opposed to, if you look here, going through 4,000 photographs, or here, 24,300 photographs to go and look for Joel. Bit of a nightmare. Now I can see that's the date, that's where I was, there's Joel. I could even select all photographs here and go to look for keywords, Joel. So even though I've got all my 24,000 photographs selected, I still can find Joel quite easily. Okay, so that is, this video hasn't been running for more than half an hour, has it? And we've already got this far. Sure, you're going to spend a lot of time selecting which ones to delete, but it's totally worth it. Once you've got to this point, okay, once I've got to a point now in this folder, I've kept all the images I want to keep, and I've keyworded, and everything is looking good. I haven't even started editing an image yet. What I'll then do is I'll change this, right-click on the folder, and I'll make this yellow. So what that then tells me is I've deleted all the rubbish, and this folder is now keyworded, it's ready to be edited. So if I scroll down to my wildlife stuff, you can see a whole lot of these folders have all been deleted. So all the images that are left in these folders, these are all images that are ready to be edited now. So as you can see, it's a very easy way to sort out your Lightroom catalog. What I enjoy most about it is that it's not overwhelming. It's not a case of you got to plug your SD card in, you're meant to be going for lunch, the game drive's coming up soon, and now you got to try and select your photographs and edit them, and you get this sort of anxiety around it. I find that this system is nice because you can just revisit it at any point, and you don't have to worry about editing right there and then. It's always nice to go back to those days with fresh eyes anyway. So a very smooth process, a very simple and basic process, yet so powerful. I hope this helps. There are many ways to do it, and I'd love to hear your comments if you have any, or if you have any questions, and please feel free to ask as well. Otherwise, thank you so much, and I hope that we get to see you out on safari soon. Cheers, guys.